Rita, coming up on tonight's Look East. In the Una Crown murder trial, the police officer who didn't initially treat her death as suspicious admits we made a terrible mistake. The pupils who got to hold gold thanks to a visit from Paralympian Maisie.
These children may not be able to verbally say, oh, that's amazing, or oh, wow, it's so heavy, but you could just tell even from their eyes or from their facial expressions how wonderful it was for me to come in and, for them to touch the medals.
Ever had that sinking feeling? This is a renovation project of a pond in Essex, which has gone a little bit wrong.
Just explain to me, John, how you feel about your digger being stuck in the pond.
Well, it's quite an unusual situation. It's not something we'd see every day. We dig a lot of holes, but we don't usually end up in them.
How do you fancy this as your office? No one knows for sure what this ancient cave was used for under Royston High Street, but you can be part of its history. They're looking for a new tour guide.
New year, whole new game. This is The Traitors.
And spoiler alert, we'll be speaking to someone who's recently been banished from that show. First tonight, one of the police officers who found the body of a murdered woman has apologised to her family for his failings in the investigation. Simon Gledhill told Cambridge Crown Court that he didn't treat the death of Una Crown as suspicious. Under cross-examination, he said, "We made a terrible mistake." It came during the trial of David Newton, who's accused of murdering Mrs Crown at her bungalow in 2013. Mosmi Bakshi was in court and has just sent this.
This trial is about who murdered Una Crown, who cut her throat and stabbed her through the heart. The prosecution say it was 70-year-old David Newton who denies the charge. But today, in Court 1, came another side to the story. Claims that Cambridgeshire Police and the emergency services contaminated the scene, went in and out of the bungalow, touching Una's body, leaving bloodstains on light switches, all because they thought her death was an accident.
And it's why the defence spent most of the day questioning Simon Gledhill. An acting police sergeant at the time, it was his conclusion that Una Crown died as a result of a tea towel catching fire that delayed the murder investigation. He appeared in court via a video link from Peterborough, which is why we can't show you him arriving at court.
The jury heard that paramedics, police officers, fire officers and 2 undertakers went in and out of the rooms, rummaging through drawers looking for medication. Simon Gledhill retrieving Una's bus pass from her bedroom for identification. Roderick James for the defence said today some bad decisions were made on the 12th of January during your attendance at Magazine Lane. Yes. And then after a long pause, Simon Gledhill adds, "I acknowledge the impact it's had on the subsequent investigation and take responsibility and apologise to the family. We made a terrible mistake." It's important to preserve a crime scene as early as possible, isn't it? Yes. Do you accept this was not treated as a murder scene would have been handled, secured and controlled? Yes.
It is David Newton who is charged with and denies murder. But it's up to the jury to decide whether early mistakes were costly. Mosmi Bakshi, BBC Look East, outside Cambridge Crown Court.
Suffolk County Council has been severely criticised over the years over how it helps children who have special educational needs. It's come under fire from parents as well as the authorities, but now it's come up with a new plan. In a moment, Alex Dunlop with the details. But first, Zoe O'Brien spent the day at the Churchill School in Haverhill, where teachers say that demand far outstrips supply.
So we're going to go to the food tech room now. A lot of people like that room.
At 16, Harry is preparing for his GCSEs, has friends, a part-time job and is dreaming of working in sports journalism. None of this would be possible, he says, without his school.
It's that safe environment, and it's just a really happy place. I look forward to going to school, and I think that's really important. Obviously not a lot of people around the country do, so more schools like this is what's needed.
Do smash the subscribe button. If you like the video, let me know.
He's even started his own football podcast and is trying new things.
Because I have a Saturday job, we've got a very late Christmas work party. Usually I wouldn't go to that kind of thing, it's not my type of thing, party, but since they're going to the school, gain confidence in other areas and they feel like, Joe, I can do that.
There's about 70 students at Churchill School, run by the Unity Trust. They have 40 schools, 13 of which run specialist units in East Anglia. Alongside education, they teach socialisation skills, even making a bed, helping students prepare for life after school.
The class size is all the same and they cater for 12 students max. And within the school, you also see some big corridors, and that helps with their spatial awareness. And we have carpet floor and low ceilings that helps with sound sensitivities. Unlike in a mainstream school, they were overwhelmed with the busyness of it all. So when they come to the school, they're able to be themselves and not to mask. And as a result of that, they're able to reach their full potential. It would be great if there was more schools like this.
Well, this is the calming room, but I can't go in there. It's a strictly adult-free zone. Now, just down the corridor, there is the swing room. It's a place where pupils can go after a long journey if they need to reset, or if they want to have a conversation with an adult, they need some time for themselves. Now, it's facilities like this that mean the school is oversubscribed.
Demand is absolutely huge, so all of our provisions are currently full. Watch children go to university, children learn to drive, children who have formed long-term relationships, children that have achieved excellent GCSE outcomes, those that have developed real-life skills, so being in the right provision is absolutely key. There is a willingness on the behalf of schools to commission more places and build more specialist provisions. It's a lack of funding that holds that up.
With just over 1,600 SEND places in the county, it's more of this that parents and teachers want. Places to learn and thrive for every child who needs it. Zoe O'Brien, BBC Look East.
Well, SEND services in Suffolk are provided by the County Council and by the NHS locally. And that new report looks back at past failings as well as towards improvements in the future. Alex is here with the details.
Well, Susie, 12 months ago, Ofsted and the Care Quality Commission were scathing about Suffolk's provisions for children and young people with special educational needs and disabilities, or SEND. Now, as we saw, Harry and his school have done really well, but too many, they say, get lost in the system and fall through the cracks. And that was the third critical report in just 8 years. And so the County Council's latest head of children and young people, Sarah Jane Smedmore, was tasked to turn things around. In her 177-page report, Ms Smedmore says she will improve the outcomes of children and young people in Suffolk with SEND. First of all, what did she find? Well, since 2015, the number of the school-age population in Suffolk with SEND has risen from 12.4% to 18.1%. That's a total of nearly 20,300 children. And there are inequalities, she says, in how some have their needs met, including long waiting times for some key services. And Suffolk still ranks second lowest out of 11 similar counties for SEND support. So what is her big plan? Well, the SEND Needs Assessment has identified 10 key recommendations, including addressing delays in assessment, diagnosis and treatment, more intervention for SEND children impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, and better future planning of SEND services as demand is bound to grow. Now, Ms Smedmore highlights that there needs to be more trust, more partnership between her teams and families. She says change will be immediate, however, this will take time. But of course, as all parents and carers of children know too well, time is not on their side. Susie.
Alex, thank you very much. Time now for a quick roundup of some other news, and within the last hour it's been announced that the football clubs Real Bedford and Bedford Town are discussing a potentially historic merger. Real is a non-league club which rose to international recognition after an injection of millions of pounds from cryptocurrency investors. The clubs say there's a lot of work to be done and the details will be shared in due course. Keep an eye out for more on that story on the BBC website. In Norfolk, a man in his 20s has been arrested on suspicion of arson after an explosion in a seaside village. Fire crews were called to an outbuilding in Winterton-on-Sea this morning. There are no reports of any injuries. And one of the oldest folk festivals in England has been cancelled for what would have been its 60th anniversary. Organisers of Cambridge Folk Festival said they'll explore new opportunities ahead of its return in 2026. The annual 4-day event first began in 1965. A poem written by a woman from Norfolk about her husband's cancer treatment has been nominated for a national award. It tells the story of how Tom was diagnosed with testicular cancer and the impact it had on them both. Now the poem has been turned into a film by a local charity to raise awareness of the disease. I've been to meet them both to find out more.
I remember the day 5 years ago when my husband was subdued. I just knew he was worried. I could tell by his mood.
Then we're looking for any prime numbers less than 20.
It was a normal day for Tom, a secondary school maths teacher, until he noticed something abnormal. A swelling had appeared on his testicle. It was quickly diagnosed as cancer. Tell me what it was like, that finding out that you had cancer. How did that affect you?
I think the impact for me, I almost felt a bit sort of numb, a bit blind to it almost. I think the way my brain works, I knew I needed to have an operation. I knew I needed some blood tests, scans, and then once I had an operation, I know I'd need some chemotherapy. So for me, I had a sort of track in my mind how things were going to go, but it's almost, I think, in hindsight, worse for everybody else because it wasn't happening to them. They could see that it was happening to me in a way.
At just 28 years old, surely this was not true. Or were we one of the unlucky few?
So many people will identify with what you're saying about that shock that you felt. And how long did that last?
Ages. And to be completely honest, I think, you know, mental health needs to be talked about more. I did have a breakdown. I can remember I was meant to go into work and it just suddenly, I've been holding it together, you know, with him unwell. And then one morning, that was it. My mind was just like, I can't take all this, you know, it's just such a big thing.
Tom and Rose were childhood sweethearts. They were hoping to start a family, but the diagnosis threw all their future plans into doubt.
An operation followed, a round of chemo too. Then, life eventually began to look up for us too.
It's really heavy. Oh!
After going through fertility treatment without success, they were considering adoption when Rose found she'd become pregnant naturally.
He's a miracle baby, he really is a miracle, and I think we really treasure that because we didn't know we'd have that situation, so that's really, really special.
What made you decide, all those years later, to sit down and write that poem?
Maybe because I then had a child, maybe I could deal with those thought processes and memories again. You know, years had gone by and I was kind of ready to sit down and write it. 5 years on, my husband is clear, and while I write this, our baby boy is now here.
Tom, now,
yes.
All these years later, how are you and how are you feeling about life?
Very, very positive. I'm a very positive person. My job, I feel now, is to try and make a difference to other people and try and get other people to get themselves checked.
And now you have little Freddie as well.
He's just beautiful, isn't he? He's just, what a miracle.
Such a poppet. You can read more about Tom and Rose online, and there are plenty of mentions for Freddie too. That's who the poppet was. Tom's very nice as well. Stay with us, there's lots more to come. It should have been digging out the silt. Now it needs to be dug out by a crane. Red faces all round as a Pep Up the Pond project goes pear-shaped. Now, if you are a fan of The Traitors, but you're not quite up to date, you might want to look away now. Because we're about to speak to someone from the show who was banished on Wednesday night's episode. Left a quick pause there for you to leave the room. It is, of course, Linda, the opera singer from Hertfordshire who became known for dramatic performances. This afternoon, I asked her how she was feeling after the experience.
It's been absolutely amazing. I'm so grateful for all the support I got and really positive feedback. Whilst I was actually pretty terrible and thought I would be slammed, but no, everything has been really, really positive, and I'm so grateful for that.
Why did you think you would get slammed? What was it about that you were worried about?
Well, my huge faux pas, for one, and also that actually I'm an older person, and I thought I wouldn't be that interesting to people, and I really thought, oh, I'll be out pretty soon. But no, I stayed in much longer than I thought, and probably should have.
and you proved to be very interesting to people. I mean, you became kind of almost iconic, didn't you?
I know, incredible. I know, incredible.
Starting right at the start, where you did that wonderful look up when Claudia mentioned the word traitors, and you kind of revealed yourself very early on that hardly anyone noticed.
Hardly anyone noticed, apart from my lovely friend Jake. He noticed. But that was totally unintentional. My head was so full because I'd just been tapped on the shoulder to be a traitor. Yeah, it was just really coincidental that he happened to see that. And that sealed my fate from the beginning, I think.
But you also became known for being this kind of dramatic, I mean, you are an opera singer, dramatic performances. It's an extraordinary thing to go from being someone that people don't know to being so well known almost overnight.
I know, it's still unbelievable to me. I was me in that. I mean, that's how I am as a person in real life. All my friends know that and my family know that. They go, oh my God, here goes Linda again.
Tell me your highlights, Linda. What will you take away from this extraordinary experience?
Everybody was so lovely in that cast, so lovely. Doing the game itself, I mean, that was what I was interested in, is in playing the game. And I really thought I'd be good at it, but obviously I wasn't as good as I thought I was going to be. And also the last night that I had in the graveyard, so exciting. I'm really glad I made it up to them so that I could experience that. It was wonderful.
So what happens now? I mean, are you going to do anything different as a result of your newfound fame, or are you hoping to just go back to life as normal?
I am going to go with the flow. I'm just enjoying it for what it is right now.
It's lovely to see you having such a good time, and thank you so much for talking to us.
Oh, thank you.
Now, there was a surprise for pupils in Northamptonshire today as a multiple Paralympic champion opened their new school building. Maisie Summers-Newton brought along her medals from the Paris and Tokyo Games, and the children at Rowan Gate Primary School in Wellingborough were delighted. This from our sports reporter, James Burridge.
Would you like to have a touch of my medals?
A precious moment with a precious medal. 4 times Paralympic champion Maisie Summers-Newton offering these school children the chance to hold gold.
That's the Eiffel Tower in Paris. It was just so inspiring for me to even come into this environment and realise how amazing it is for those children to be in school, to be learning, and also to be socialising with other children as well, I think is a huge thing. You know, these children would see things maybe that some of the other children haven't, like they recognise the bumps on the medals, and they talk a lot more about the weight and what they look like. And I think that's special as well, just seeing a different perspective of them all. And yeah, some of these children may not be able to verbally say, oh, that's amazing, or oh, wow, it's so heavy, but you could just tell even from their eyes or from their facial expressions how wonderful it was for me to come in and, yeah, for them to touch the medals.
What did Maisie show you?
Oh, her medals.
Mm.
And what did you like about the medals?
They were heavy. They were shiny.
And do you like swimming as well?
Yes. We also have swimming lessons.
Throughout her career, Maisie has proven that a disability doesn't define you. Despite having achondroplasia, a form of dwarfism, she's become one of the region's most successful British athletes.
For our children, seeing somebody who has had to struggle in life, who's had to experience being different, makes a real difference. Our children are they're always different, or viewed as different and special, very special. But I think seeing somebody who's achieved and gone on to great successes will help to give them aspiration.
Maisie has been training to become a teacher herself, so today was fitting as she opened a new school building, opening opportunity for these children in her home county. James Burridge, BBC Look East, Wellingborough.
Details now of a very unusual job opportunity, the chance to work as an underground tour guide in Hertfordshire. Royston Cave lies directly under the town's high street, and successful candidates will need to shine a light on the fascinating carvings that have mystified generations of historians. This from Nicola Haisler.
Well, I'm on Royston High Street, which is famous for being at the junction of two ancient roads, and the Town Council is looking for a new tour guide. But your office is not up here. Oh no, it's down there.
A wooden door on the high street takes you down a tunnel, which was added later to reveal a chalk cave, preserved with all its carvings, believed to be from the 1300s. But it could be even older.
So come on down and mind your step. Well, back in 1742, above our heads, up there was a butter market, and the ladies in the market wanted a new bench. So the workmen were digging down to build the foundations for this bench and come across a millstone. So they lifted the millstone up and realised it was plugging a shaft. So apparently they sent a 10-year-old boy down the shaft on a rope with a candle to see what was down here. And he ended up being inside Royston Cave.
And so what are the beliefs about what this place was? What was it used for?
All we have are different theories that have been given since the cave's discovery. Those theories range from a wayside hermitage, a private chapel for Lady Roysia, or even a place where the Knights Templar stored their goods and then did their prayers. Some of the carvings, for instance, we've got St. Catherine here. She was an important saint to the Templars. We know the Templars were local. They had a stronghold at Baldock, and they would come to Royston to sell their goods. So we know they were in the area.
Sometimes even workmen up there are doing work, not aware that this is here.
You know, it's something we need to protect because of all those factors. We have problems with water coming into the cave, it's chalk, it's porous. So that's something else the guides need to be mindful of.
What kind of skills do the applicants need to have to want to work in a place like this?
Well, a love of history would be beneficial because there are different sort of historical areas that they need to revise and learn. So if you love history, that's going to be beneficial. It's just so unique. I mean, where else is your office a cave underground? And many people just walk above our heads, some blissfully unaware that there's a cave under their feet. So I think it's just a great job to have.
And you can apply on the Town Council's website. Nicola Haisler, BBC Look East, underneath Royston.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Next tonight, what's the phrase? When you're in a hole, stop digging. Workers who should have been repairing this pond in Essex found themselves stuck in the mud instead. And today, even the rescue efforts didn't go to plan. We asked Debbie Tubby to get her wellies on and investigate.
Ever had a bad day at the office or that sinking feeling? The plan is to renovate this village pond in Great Dunmow, but this certainly does muddy the waters. This digger has been up to its neck, or rather its cab in it, since yesterday, creating a rather unexpected water feature.
Well, as a retired civil engineering project manager, I've got every sympathy for them. But it is bad. It's about the worst I've ever seen, to be honest. And I've no idea how they're going to get it out of there now. It's so deeply entrenched.
Legend has it this is named Doctor's Pond after a local doctor who used it for breeding leeches for medicine. It's a popular fishing spot, but for years the town council, using expert advice, has tried to stop the blue-green algae. Now the plan is to remove the silt, a 4-week project that's turned into 3.5 months. 12,000 fish have had to be rehomed and the ducks have flown the nest, I mean mess.
Initially the weather hampered it. Every time we emptied the pond of water it would refill overnight. We have had an extraordinary amount of rain in recent months. The contractor also had some equipment failure where they had to source alternative equipment to enable them to carry out the works. It's not what I'd like to see when I come down here, no, but I'm hopeful that very soon we'll have brighter days and the ponds will be restored.
The saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging, and that's what they've done. Instead, they're going to bring in a larger crane to lift it out.
Well, it's quite an unusual situation. It's not something we'd see every day. We dig a lot of holes, but we don't usually end up in them. I got the text messages, actually. I got the pictures, and you know, a lot of these guys, they have a very close relationship. So we've got operators across the firm, and before you know it, it'll be in a WhatsApp group, and yeah, everybody will know that somebody's got a digger stuck when they shouldn't have done, so they will never hear the end of it, but ultimately it's my responsibility.
Late this afternoon, there were several unsuccessful attempts to winch the digger out. When they do, the punishment for the driver is to clean it, but for now, it's going nowhere. Debbie Tubby, BBC Look East, Great Dunmow.
That is going to be some cleaning job. And we only know about that story because Tony Clark's wife, Mary, emailed us last night. That address again, if you have a story for us, look.east@bbc.co.uk. And I guess the weather was needed for digging out. That we need dry weather, I guess, so it doesn't get all more wet and soggy.
They really do, don't they? Gosh, I feel the pressure now, Susie. But we've actually had quite a lot of dry weather. It's not been too bad the last few days, but it's been very, very grey, misty, murky, bit of fog. And really, that cloud's kind of lingered, hasn't it? It's stayed with us, and it is going to continue through the course of the weekend. So there's a bit more of that grey weather to come. Now, saying that, it will be dry, but it is going to feel quite a bit colder. Our temperatures are going to fall away tomorrow and Sunday, and we could still get some mist and fog through the mornings as well. So we're not out of the woods with that either. But here's our setup. So high pressure has been with us this week, and it is keeping any of these weather fronts here out to the west and further north at bay and well and truly out of our way, for now at least. So tonight, as we head through this evening, a little bit of that cloud should break up, so we should get some clearer spells, but it will let that mist and fog kind of build back in. Temperatures down to freezing, so it will be quite a chilly night to come and a chilly start to Saturday. And you'll notice we do start to pull in this cold air. You can see the blue on the map there. Our wind direction coming more from the southeast, so it is going to feel cooler through tomorrow and probably a little bit cooler still on Sunday. But first of all, on Saturday, probably is going to be a bit grey, a lot of low cloud. You should get a little bit of brightness. You can see it does break up for some of us, but not widespread blue sky, still only between 3 and 5 degrees. So probably a big coat situation, I'd say, over the weekend. And then Saturday evening, well, rinse and repeat, more cloud. It is at least going to be dry for Saturday. It's Sunday, which will feel cooler. And as we head into Monday, you'll notice this cold front here. Now, there won't be much rain attached to that, but you may just get a little spit or spot. Otherwise dry as we head through Sunday. Very cloudy, bit kind of just dull, but still dry with a little sort of slight break in the cloud every so often, about 4 degrees as well. So that's where we'll really notice the temperatures falling. It won't last long though. Let's have a look at next week. We'll see our temperatures rising again, so closer to average. But with that, there's always a but. At the end of the week, it will be more unsettled, Susie.
Thanks for the but. Thank you very much. That's all from us for now. Andrew, I think, will be here with the late news. Have a very good evening and a good weekend. Goodbye.